There's a Canadian astronaut out there. His name's Chris Hadfield, and he thinks if you believe that some UFOs are extraterrestrial in origin, that you must be some sort of idiot. Okay. Here's a recent article from futurism.com, and the headline says, "Astronaut, if you think UFOs are aliens, you're an idiot." Okay, and anyway, here's this article. It says, in a recent CBC interview, retired Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield shared his opinion on the elevated public interest in unidentified aerial phenomena sightings. I just want to stop there for a minute. I'm sick of this unidentified aerial phenomena stuff, UAP. They're trying. I like UFO. I like the old-fashioned UFO. That's just a personal thing here. Anyway, continuing. Hadfield had a clear answer as to whether extraterrestrial life forms were behind the mysterious incidents. If you think they're aliens, he says, you're a moron. Obviously, I've seen countless things in the sky that I don't understand, Hadfield told the Canadian broadcaster. The retired astronaut also was a pilot for both the Royal Canadian Air Force and U.S. Navy. But to see something in the sky that you don't understand and then to immediately conclude that it's intelligent life from another solar system is the height of foolishness and lack of logic, he added. Other experts have suggested that adversaries could be behind the mysterious sightings, suggesting other nations like Russia or China may be invading United States airspace using highly advanced technologies. Even if aliens aren't behind the UFOs, that doesn't mean we should discard the possibility that we are not alone in the universe, according to Hadfield. But definitively, up to this point, we have found no evidence of life anywhere except Earth, and we're looking, he told the CBC. The topic of UFOs had hit a fever pitch as of late, following a bombshell 2017 report by the New York Times that uncovered the Pentagon's shadowy UFO program. Several unclassified videos taken by military pilots have surfaced that appear to show inexplicable objects that appeared to defy the laws of physics. Several pilots have come forward since sharing their stories of what they saw, and lawmakers are taking their reports more seriously than ever. Last year, Congress set up an unidentified aerial phenomena task force to investigate these reports and is set to release a report sometime next month. Until then, obviously, we'll have to take any claims or theories with a healthy grain of salt. Okay. First of all, I think it's okay. Now I get it. In one respect, okay, if every time if somebody sees an object, flying around that they can't explain, if you're going to call that that's an alien spacecraft, then you're not too smart. I would agree with that part of it. But what about the people that see things that are up close to them? Say it's like there's been reports. Like just for instance, there was a story I was reading the other day where a husband and wife back in I think it was the 70s, they right outside in broad daylight, hovering right over their house was a flying saucer, made no sound whatsoever, and then just zipped away. Hovered there for a little while, then just took off. The thing that I saw in August of 1994, no sound whatsoever. This thing was as big as a house, right? It hovered, 2.5 stories off the ground, was between 10 and 20 feet. Right in front of me. It came to a halt, a stop right in the sky, right in front of me, 2.5 stories off the ground, and then moved. We don't have stuff like that, right? We just don't. So am I a moron? Am I an idiot? Right? And what does this is an astronaut making these statements. Okay, I understand. Again, I don't like when people say there's a light that's really far away. How could you tell? I mean, it could be anything. I'd say about 10 years ago, the one night I was outside, I looked straight up in the sky one night. And I was like, wow, I could have sworn I saw a triangle with 3 lights on each corner moving way up. Like it seemed like outside the Earth's atmosphere. I don't really talk about that because I don't know. It could have been something else. I could have been mistaken. It was just too far away. But the things that are close up, right? Things that are, right there in front of people a lot of times, things that land in fields where there's evidence there. So, I mean, you're not supposed to think that that's probably, what are you supposed to think it is then? I mean, what are you supposed to think when you see one of these beings that are decidedly not human? Like, what are you supposed to think? That they're from here? They're deformed people that are flying around in advanced aircraft that doesn't make that's silent and could fly away at 17,000 miles per hour? Like, what else are you supposed to think, Chris? I mean, if put it this way, if you were going to tell me that the thing that I saw wasn't most likely an extraterrestrial, I would say that you're the moron. Anyway, and what do you think about other people out there? There's other astronauts out there. There's a lot of astronauts, actually, over the decades who actually claim to have seen UFOs. And here was a letter that the late Gordon Cooper had sent, or it was a statement that he provided at the United Nations back in in the late 1970s. And this is what he wrote, this is what he stated. This is his statement to the United Nations. I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting this planet from other planets, which are a little more technically advanced than we are on Earth. I feel that we need to have a top-level coordinated program to scientifically collect and analyze data from all over the Earth concerning any type of encounter and to determine how best to interfere with these visitors in a friendly fashion. We may first have to show them that we have learned how to resolve our problems by peaceful means rather than warfare before we are accepted as fully qualified universal team members. Let me just stop there. I can't agree with I don't know if that day's ever going to come. Gordon's not with us anymore, but that day still has not come. Anyway, continuing. Their acceptance will have tremendous possibilities of advancing our world in all areas. Certainly, then it would seem that the United Nations has a vested interest in handling the subject quickly and properly. I should point out that I am not an experienced UFO professional researcher. I have not as yet had the privilege of flying a UFO, nor of meeting the crew of one. However, I do feel that I am somewhat qualified to discuss them, since I have been into the fringes of the vast areas of which they travel. Also, I did have occasion in 1951 to have 2 days of observation of many flights of them, of different sizes, flying in fighter formation, generally from west to east over Europe. They were at a higher altitude than we could reach with our jet fighters. If the United Nations agrees to pursue this project and lend the credibility to it, perhaps many more well-qualified people will agree to step forth and provide help and information. So, I mean, is Gordon Cooper a moron, an idiot? I mean, was he an idiot? Was he? I don't think so. He saw these things. So, again, when you see these things, I mean, it's almost like, yeah, that's not human. We don't make stuff like that. We don't have things like that. This was in 1951 he was seeing these things he's talking about. This is before he was in space. And he did talk about these things for the rest of his life. He believed in them. He thought that some UFOs, like the late Stanton Friedman always used to say, he would say an underlined some 100 times. We're not talking about everything. Of course, there's things that are misidentified. So of course there are some things that are just natural phenomena. Of course. But then there are things, especially the things that you see up close. When they're right there in front of your face. And when you see one of these things, you know that there's something going on. And we're at a point now, and we talk about this all the time, where there's just so much data that's compiled that it becomes there's no other explanation. There's just none. What else could it possibly be? Like I said, I mean, are there, like I was saying earlier, I mean, what do you think it is then? You think there's some breakaway civilization here, that's been, that has nothing to do with the human race proper, right? And only show their heads every now and then, and they've invented these things and have been flying around in them for at least 75 years, and they're just hiding out. They don't want to have anything to do with us anymore, with the rest of the human race, and they're hiding somewhere else. That's impossible. I mean, back in 1947, when these things were seen on started to be seen on a regular basis. Of course, it couldn't have been China or Russia, but at that point, the United States was the strongest nation in the world. The strongest nation in the world at the time, and there was nothing else. We were the only game in town. Russia didn't even have the atomic bomb yet, right? China, no way, not even close. So it was never them. It was never that's not them. Okay, maybe today, maybe every now and then, maybe they send something over, but it's nothing. Not what we're talking about here. Things that could, fly at 12,000 miles an hour, stop on a dime, and then make a right angle turn, and they don't have that kind of stuff. We don't have that kind of stuff. We just don't. And then all the people that see the beings, again, this guy, these people he's uneducated on this subject. When you're calling other people morons for, again, what I saw that time in 1994, I realized pretty quickly that there's no way that this thing was man-made. There was just no way. You had to be there, I guess. But I'm just one of those people that, say, and actually there was another witness there with me at the time, during a fishing trip. And there's other people that had these, groups of people that had experiences like this all over the place, over the many decades here, since at least 47, where they see these things. I mean, all these people are telling lies or making things up or misidentifying something that's right there in front of you. No. The object that I saw was a solid object, huge, no sound. It couldn't have been man-made. But I'm not an idiot for believing that was extraterrestrial, because there's no other really explanation for it. And then, of course, the fallback that I have anymore, the main, I just say, hey, aerial school, disprove it, right? You can't. A bunch, 60-some kids, 1994, UFOs, flying saucer, alien being comes out, looks like just like the gray kind of being that the people were claiming for years leading up to that we're saying we're abducting them. It comes out of the spaceship, communicates telepathically. Meanwhile, there's one that's running or something back and forth near the flying saucer that's disappearing and then starting over again. Things that human beings are incapable of doing. Yes, there's something going on here. And again, this guy, I think you need to look in the mirror and you need to do some research. I don't care if you're an astronaut. Just because you're an astronaut doesn't make you smart. It doesn't mean that you have common sense to say that people are morons or idiots or whatever you're trying to say here. But yeah, I just think you need to do some research before you start making statements like that. Of course, I do agree at one point. You just can't see something really far and say aliens. Yeah, I get that part. I'm talking about other things. I'm talking about things that are close up. Things that people see that this is most certainly a device that's intelligently controlled. It's solid and it's moving in ways that our stuff just can't move, and it's not making any sound. Those people aren't nuts, right? They're not idiots. They're just they're the messengers telling you what happened and what they saw. So it's not nice just because basically what you do by making statements like that from a person from your position, it makes everyone who's seen these more afraid to talk about it. Then that's why the stigma. You're an idiot. You're an idiot if you think that. Well, no, you know what? You're the idiot. You're the idiot for saying something like that. Use your head next time. Think.